Now that we've had a chance to really dive into presentation best practices, you should have a better understanding of what it's going to feel like to use the system to guide your employers to decisions, to help to understand from the employer perspective how much better a process this is compared to the typical benefit detail and what they cost spreadsheet exhibits. Now, in terms of presenters that are routinely going to be going in front of employers and using Dynamis, these are really skills that we'll want to develop, whether it's practicing and working on your own or working with our client services team. The idea of being able to create new proposed plan groups, being able to copy plan designs from one group to another, or copy entire plan groups so that we can create additional variations to answer those what-if questions without having to change the original version of that plan group. Funding options, being comfortable with how to add HSA funding and how that's impacting employer and net out of pocket. Being comfortable with HRAs and how they're configured and how to make adjustments to those configurations and add HRA tiers on the fly are all skills that the more we're able to accomplish those skills, the more we'll be able to answer those real-time what-if questions. Being able to show combined enrollment and explain what the value is to be able to look at plans independently instead of specific counts. For groups where we're working from a budget perspective, being comfortable with going to goals and assumptions and changing that budget and solving each plan design back to that new budget. Being able to set plans to a budget and create a copy, go change the budget and adjust them again so we can show proposed plan groups that are the same plans that are just adjusted to meet different employer budgets. Being comfortable working in premium share. That's where we solve the budget. But if we want to change strategies like we did in the fundamental sample and go from an overall percentage to a percent employee dependent, being able to be comfortable in navigating premium share and copying premium share from one plan design to another. So that when that employer says, what if we keep the employee costs the same? What does that look like? The more we're able to develop those skills, the more effective we'll be in that live presentation, being able to model those alternate scenarios. And ultimately being comfortable with the reports, not just in how to run them, but in how to use them when we need to focus our conversation around a specific comparison. So these are all the skills we'll want to work on, and the more we develop them, the more effective we'll be in front of those employer presentations. So really the next steps are we want to start to get in front of employers using Dynamis. And the key is when we get in front of employers using Dynamis, we want to get their feedback. We want validation that our investment in this technology to help them with this decision-making process is worth it. And really being able to hear the employer feedback, really having them tell you how much better this experience is, really reinforces our motivation to be able to continue to learn the system so that we can use this effectively with our clients. So ultimately, we have to start with the first presentation. So being able to identify the employer we want to take Dynamis in front of is going to be important. And we're going to be able to explain to them that this is our first time using this new technology. And what you'll find is that the employer is more impressed with the technology investment you've made on their behalf than whether or not you can fully navigate the system. You know, we like to say that even the worst Dynamis presentation still brings more value to your clients than your best spreadsheet presentation. And being able to practice those first presentations. Once we get through the first one, which is going to be the hardest one, then the second one becomes a little easier. It's not as new. And usually it's that third time that we really start to see people start to grasp this, develop their skills, and really kind of make this system their own. So whether or not we go in front of an employer with a renewal, or sometimes we see it effective to go in and meet with our clients and just introduce them to Dynamis in the context of their current plans and a projected renewal, and maybe do that at a midterm meeting. Takes kind of the pressure off of being able to introduce them to the new technology without having to worry about getting the pressure of that renewal decision. And it really helps set up the expectation for the employer of what their renewal experience is going to look like, so that when we actually get to renewal time, they already have an understanding of the system and we can spend more time focusing on our plan selection. So by all means, as we start to transition from our traditional static spreadsheet presentations to Dynamis, you'll have questions. So you'll always want to reach out to support@dynamiscorp.com if you have any questions at all, or if you just want to set up a time to review a specific renewal presentation together and kind of go through those best practices, really get you comfortable going in front of that employer. So that really concludes our presenting to employers best practices. This tutorial was intended to get you some key concepts that you could take away and apply to groups as you get comfortable using this. And I think you'll find that by the time you get your first couple presentations under your belt, your employer responses will be something that continues to motivate you to continue to learn and use Dynamis. Thank you.